Hello, lovely people, and welcome to another episode of Mental Digestion. I'm your host, Precious, and today's guest is my brother, Brian. Say hi,
Hey,
Brian. And today we are going to be talking about legacy. I feel like I've heard it here and there, but I feel like a lot of times it's older generations or it's talked about in more of an abstract sense. And I think it's something that people of our generation need to be focusing on. Um, Quite a bit of us are approaching 40. The millennial generation is approaching 40. And so we should be planning for the future and thinking about these things. What is our legacy going to be? Now, I guess first I'll define it and then we'll open up the dialogue, okay? So a legacy is a part of a person that lives on after that person has passed. A legacy leaves behind a story. That's simple. So what do you think about that definition?
I like it. I definitely like it. I think people will fine tune it as far
Mhm.
as to how their life is, or if they have kids, or if they don't have kids. But the same concept, I think, is still going to be true throughout.
Mhm.
What you leave behind after you pass away.
Right.
Like working definition.
Mhm. Okay. So so we're gonna kind of go over like the different facets of legacy. I'll just state them all, and then we'll kind of go into them. So there's gifts, money, and property.
Hmm.
There's the story of our lives or the lessons we've learned, values we live by, and then there's philanthropy or programs that we want to continue.
Mm. Yeah,
So
yeah.
based off of these different ones, these different facets of legacy, what when you think of legacy for yourself, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind?
All right. So legacy for me that I
Mhm.
want to leave behind is more or less a. All right. So first, I just had a kid, so
Yeah.
it's making sure that she's taken care of is the main thing that comes to mind whenever I think about legacy. When it comes
Hmm.
to finances, when it comes to how will her future be set up? Will she be able to be, uh, I guess I don't want to say help, but guided in a sense as
Hmm.
to a more positive life rather than a struggle life. So
Right.
uh, the first thing is always going to be the financial aspect, but then there's also this part of when I pass away, how do I want her to remember me? It's something that
Hmm.
goes in your mind. So do I want her to say, "Oh, Daddy was a good man and he did this and he did that," or so there's a lot of different aspects that'll come up whenever I think about that. So it's definitely something. How you said with this generation, it's coming to that time where it really starts to sink in because for me, I kind of I've shifted. Definitely. You go through one phase of life where have one focus, and then there's certain things that happen that kind of push you to a different focus. So, you
Right.
know,
I think that's
yeah,
based off of your priorities, right? So, like you said, because you just had a daughter, it kind of makes you think about that. And like I think even with me, like I don't have a kid yet, but like I'm getting into the family planning. I'm starting to think about that, and so I think I mean for me it because of where I am, I started to think about like a lot of different things as it pertains to it. So like generational curses,
mhm,
like what kind of stuff has plagued our family and for generations that I do not want to pass on to my children. Like it went a little because I want to handle that stuff before. I feel like it's a lot more difficult to plan for that kind of stuff. That stuff that you got to deal with just about you, when you now have somebody to take care of. So like, it's like before I have another person in the picture, let me get some of this together and be strong in it.
yeah,
And so like mine went even there, even though that wasn't one that was necessarily listed. I guess you could say about lessons learned. So yeah, it's listed in a way.
yeah, yeah, sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So
Now
one
the
thing that you mentioned.
generational.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
now the generational curses thing, that's definitely something that that arise, and I guess one of the big ones for us, is the father absence thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
to me, honestly, I feel like that solves a lot of other problems
Yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
been built up, a lot of the anger and aggression and toxic,
Mm-hmm.
I guess situations that you end up in, they kind of start there. At least for me, that was like the genesis of it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like I know for a fact one of the main things I can correct is, I mean, it's just kind of simple, just being present, So it's uh, it's a beautiful thing, and the fact that it's easily understood what needs to be done in order to correct some of those generational curses. I think that's kind of where we have the benefit. So when it comes to the legacy aspect of it, we got to make sure that we are showing that next generation, like, look, you know, previous generations kind of messed that up, but that doesn't mean it has to stay messed up. So
Right. Right.
it's one of
Mm-hmm.
those things that it's a beautiful sense to just kind of watch it, because I think most of it's almost rare to find somebody of our hue that has multiple parents in the household,
Mm-hmm.
or at least their
I do
kids
think that
growing up.
that's changing. I will say with our
It
generation
is.
that is
Yeah,
changing because we are
exactly.
having kids later in life. And so because of that, it's like you're more stable. It's not like,
Yeah,
there's less of that.
yeah, it's not a
Yeah.
forced thing, So it
Hmm.
definitely is. It's a positive thing to say when you
Hmm.
start to see some of these things that we thought was like, completely horrible. They're
Hmm.
starting to be corrected a little bit. And there's definitely
Yeah.
some new problems we built as well. I'm not gonna sit there and act like the last generation was messed up and we got it all
Yeah.
figured out. But
Yeah. Yeah.
there's some give and take. And I think one of the big things we are starting to slowly correct.
Hmm. Yeah. That's good. So, like one thing that you mentioned was more of the financial aspect, and I just wanted to go into some statistics in regards to our generation. Let me get my little paper. Okay. So millennials, and we're talking people from that were born between 1980 and 1994. Okay, because it does get kind of depending on who you're talking to, they kind of shift those numbers a little bit. So
Yeah.
that's around, yeah, it's around there that we're talking. Okay, so 45% have a retirement savings account, such as a 401k or IRA, which is actually pretty good, 45%. But only 33% are actively contributing to it. That's not as good. And then only about 1 in 5 is currently saving more than 15% of their income.
I'm guilty.
Huh?
I'm guilty on that. I don't save more than 50.
Oh yeah, I don't either. I was like, that's not right. And part of that, we'll get into that, but part of that is about like the fact that I feel like the income did not keep up with how much things are costing. And so it's really hard to be like, I'm gonna put away money. Like I already got a tithe. I gotta put 10% to the Lord, okay? And then I'm barely affording my lifestyle. So it's really hard. I do save, but it's hard to save that amount, to save.
I save on occasion. It's an
Yeah.
accident when I say.
Oh no! I will say okay. So it's a minimal amount. Okay, I'm talking like I think it's $100. Okay, $100 a month. Like what that's gonna do? But I consistently save it. Like it comes automatically out of my account and into another account. Yeah. That's what I could confidently, consistently save. And not have to dip into it. Another one, according to the National Institute of Retirement Security, 66% of working millennials have nothing saved for retirement. 66%, which that ties into that 33%, only 33% actively contributing to their retirement account. So, and then this one right here. Now, this would have me ashamed, but it says, so survey by Lind EDU reported that 49% of millennials spend more on dining out per month than they put towards retirement, and 27% spend more on coffee. Now, so that takes away my point that, income hasn't kept up. Our priorities messed up. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like
something changed.
It sounds like our priorities are really messed up. And so I'm embarrassed.
This generation cooks less, and it's because of probably because they work more, honestly. But I think the at home cooking around the table, as a ritual that happens nightly, that's probably dying out in today's society. Most people grabbing a quick bite to eat, or everybody eats at front of a TV somewhere or something like that. So, I mean, you definitely have more of that fast food and quick eating type stuff rather than.
Well, can I ask you? Do you institute that as something in your family, and do you see the importance of? Do you see that as something that's important and that something that you want to institute?
Yeah. So, all right. So, like I said, I got a newborn. She's a baby, right? So, me as my baby gets older, I definitely will transition into we're gonna be sitting around the table. As of right now, I mean, my schedule is I get home at 11 p.m. sometimes.
Yeah, so you ain't home during dinner.
Dinner time. Yeah. So I don't switch that. I have regular hours when my child gets a little older, and that definitely is something that I think it's important. When I can figure out, hey, what's going on with your day, and she can hear about me, and actually interact.
Yeah, so. with other members of the family too. I think that's important for. Like I hear because we talked about specifically, like how a lot of people don't have both parents in the household, but then I hear about people that did have both parents in the household, and they're like, I never heard them mention a kind word to each other. I never saw them be affectionate. Like I hear those things from people that had both. You know what I'm saying? And I think having just more opportunities to see them together. Like just slowing down would help, would remedy that, I think, it's like everybody just so on the go that you don't see that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure it happened. It's just they didn't get exposed to it just because, so.
Yeah. I guess it's behind closed doors.
Exactly. Yeah. It's something you kind of do, when you got the kids there, you try to keep the kids in the kids' place and have the kids minding their business. But I think sometimes we kind of forget that they do need to see those interactions so they know how to, mimic those whenever they're adults. So
like I need to, because we gauge what's appropriate, what's acceptable, as far as how we function in relationships by what we have seen. And so like if they don't see anything but like business, basically. We handling the bills, we going to work, like, then that's all that you put weight on, or you just don't know how to be affectionate. Like I know I struggled for a while to be affectionate because, there wasn't a lot of that for me growing up, So I think that's an important thing to think about. Like, and it's a subtle thing, I think, but it has a great impact. So yeah, I didn't think about like just dinner tables.
All right, so this might be an interesting question. I know I'm not supposed to be asking questions, but I got a question.
No, you can, absolutely.
How do you feel that legacy has affected you?
Okay. In regards to
of the people before you, how do you think that's affected your lifestyle? So I think that's important to understand when we're talking about the legacy we want to leave. Yeah. Actually look and say, what was the legacy before?
Well, I do think, without going too far into
good and one thing bad, that's what I want. Tell me something good that you learned from somebody else's legacy, whether it be mother, grandma, great grandma, whatever.
Well, I'm gonna keep it vague because I don't want to tell people business. Okay, yeah. So, but I will say, like, there's a history of. First of all, I do think the ability to endure, to persevere, that we have a history of that with the women in our family. And I think that's beautiful, but I think also with that comes the history of struggle love. Okay. And that's going to be another episode. Y'all stay tuned. But that I don't want that. I want a healthy, happy relationship where we both respect each other, It's not completely one-sided. You know what I'm saying? So I would say those two things. They kind of tie in together, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a double-edged sword. So you
Mhm.
like the positive of the strength, I guess,
Mhm.
but at the
Yeah,
same time,
because I mean, they dealt with stuff that could break you, you know, and it didn't break them. But like it also it was because they were in terrible environments,
mhm.
you
Yeah,
know,
no,
and
that's
so yeah,
real.
I think that's what. What about you?
For me, I guess positive things I learned. So, like my mother worked extremely hard, you know, and I feel like me, I'm not the smartest person, at all, but I work really hard. Like
Yeah,
I
I
can,
think we get our work ethic from her. Like she was a very
yeah,
hard worker. Like I'll do what I gotta do to make this
yeah,
money to take care of my kids, and I like that. That was beautiful.
yeah, and that's something that I really picked up on at an early age from just
Hmm.
watching her, and it was a point of like, oh wow, that's amazing, and it's almost it's inspirational, I guess is the word I'm
Hmm.
looking
Hmm.
for. So when it comes to my own family, it's actually not even hard, for me to
Yeah,
go
because that was
fill
the
a double.
example that you had.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's like
I
it ain't
almost
no
feel
thing to
bad.
get out there.
I'd be like, hey, sometimes, like, because a lot of times when I work, like when I work overtime, it's just sitting there somewhere, so they
Hmm.
pay me decent money just to go somewhere and be a presence.
Hmm.
So I'm
Hmm.
like, I'll definitely go do that. So
Absolutely,
uh,
yeah.
just that mentality of hard work, was
Hmm.
beautiful. And I think something, I guess, negative that I've picked up is, let's see, I think the over analyzing things. I have a tendency to do that. Sometimes I'll give people an opinion before they state it, but it's something I'm learning to work on.
What do you
But
mean? Like okay, so you're saying that you assess them and you like I feel like I know you before you even say it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, I do the same thing, but I don't think I'm wrong.
I don't think it's fair either. Like some people, like I'll attribute more than they put into that conversation, right? Like I'd be
Okay.
like, why would you say that unless you felt like this, right?
I
That'll
do
be my
that. I
thing,
do the
right?
same thing. Where do
Yeah,
we get that from? Where do we get that from?
that's your father, actually. So
Huh?
that's your father. So
Okay. Okay. Because I'm like, I don't think Mama does that. Like, okay. I was like, where do we get that? Because we both do the same thing.
I mean, it's a horrible thing. It's not horrible. It's just not
I don't think
fair to
it's
certain.
horrible because I do think that our behaviors are indicative of what's going on inside. And so if you're doing certain things, like I can't help but to think that this is how you feel. Or you know what I'm saying? Or like you did that you don't respect me because you did. Why would you even do that? Because I would never do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah,
think that that's a natural.
but that's the part that's not fair because we putting it on terms of our lived experience rather than
Okay.
what the person has actually been through and how much thought they actually put into those actions.
And they
So
probably didn't think about it at all. Like they didn't think about
it,
how it was going to affect you at all.
yeah,
But to me, that says something. Like that says
it does,
something to me.
it does. But I think sometimes I'll give even more and be like, nah, you
You
did
put
this.
more weight on something than somebody else would. Yeah,
It,
I do the same. I do
yeah.
the same. Yeah, I just
Uh,
I think I'm still I'm still at that phase, but I don't see nothing wrong with it. I'm like, yeah, I do that. So okay, that's interesting.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because like that's all you have to go by, and I'm a believer of don't trust the words, trust the behavior, trust the pattern, and with the pattern, you have to analyze it.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that's what I feel like I'm doing. Like you've done this and you've done this, and it like it's piled on. You've done this, and this, and it all looks like this to me. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and
And
I don't
it's
see
like
anything wrong
just
with
not
it.
says, I still believe.
Mm.
So, nah, I mean, I get you because, like I said, I'm guilty of it too. So
Yeah.
it's just the way you actually live life for so long. There's no way.
Hmm.
I don't think it's wrong, but
Hmm.
I would like to
It might not
further
be
develop.
fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I want to give some people more of an opportunity to work on expressing themselves before I just write to a
And I
certain
also
lane.
think it's good to hear them out anyway, because there's something telling in the words that we choose to use to explain ourselves and our behaviors. So even if I'm mainly going by what you are doing and your pattern, I'm still gonna listen to your explanation. I'm listening hard. I'm listening to the words and what these words mean. You know what I'm saying? And I'm analyzing that too, which
Yeah. Sometimes the person isn't
they're
like
not good words.
some people are
Mhm.
absent-minded,
Yeah.
people do exist. So
Yeah. No, I know my
there's a
husband is
certain
that way. And so he gets really frustrated. I don't mean that in a offensive way. I mean that in like you're just really not thinking about what this
what
means. What
you're
this
hearing.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
And so what I didn't mean it like that, but you're gonna
mm-hmm,
take it like that because of the way I pushed it out, and I'm like,
mm-hmm,
okay, well, I could retract that. I would have said it different. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
there's no room for retraction with a person like me because I'm gonna be like, nah, I know what you said the first
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah. We the same. We are. Oh my God, it's kind of scary how much because that is a strong characteristic of mine.
yeah,
We are like in that way. Uh, okay, okay. So and you know what, and I appreciate this conversation right here because it does make me at least assess how I do that and work on adjusting it. I ain't taking it away. I'm just
might
being
not even
real.
be wrong. It might not be bad.
Yeah,
I'm
but
just saying,
I don't know how fair it is in time in certain times.
yeah.
And so I need to be willing to be. I don't know. Like it's more like the benefit of a doubt. I think.
Mhm.
Because like I said, some people are very absent-minded, whereas me, I'm not. I don't. Wouldn't call myself calculated, but I really try and consider how my actions will affect other people.
Yeah.
With like everything that I'm doing when I'm interacting with another person, specifically like another person of the opposite sex, like I'm gonna make sure that I am considering what I do. But like somebody else might not do that. They're like, oh, I knew my intentions were good, so I just wasn't thinking about
Yeah.
it.
And it will get people caught up. Oh, no, I'm just being friendly. Or I'm just being nice. You're like, hey, wait, you can't be too friendly. You know what I'm saying? So there's a
Yes,
certain
we on the same page. But back to like,
yeah.
okay, so with the legacy and then like with the like planning financially. I mean, I like I said, I do think that our prior it sounds based off of that one survey and the 49% spending more on dining out and 27% spending more on coffee, that I think that we need to just adjust our priorities. Like, and I think some of that is just like, okay, well, this brings me joy, so I
Yeah.
want it because like for me, I do cook. I cook at home, but I love to go out to eat. Like I might be one of those people with the dining, not the coffee, but with the dining out. Just because I really love food. I think I have it might be borderline unhealthy relationship with food. Like I'm like, this makes me happy, and I'm the one that's dancing while I'm eating.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm replacing that with therapy or something. I don't know, but but maybe like I need to just go and do the therapy so that I can start to save my money, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a fine line.
Yeah.
Like if it's happy, if it's something you feel like doing,
Mm-hmm.
legacy is important, but that's not the only thing in
Only
life.
thing,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah.
There is times where, I mean, if you're dining out with the family, I mean, if we talk about a conversation about legacy, that might actually
Yeah.
be a part of it. That's when y'all get together, y'all hang out, you do whatever you do.
Have
But
good times, and that's also how I justify it too. Is that I'm like, okay, well, this is an experience, and you only live once, so like, can't take it with you.
look, that's
Can't-
horrible for thinking of legacy. Just so we clear on that.
I know I'm saying that's my problem with the financial part. I definitely think about the other stuff, like what's going to be my story, how, like what lessons can I pass down. I definitely think about that stuff in a responsible way, but I think the financial part is where there needs to be a shift.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So is that we talked about the financial part. One thing I wanted to mention in regards to that was about wills. So like 79% of millennials do not have a will. And that's a problem because first of all, tomorrow is not promised to anybody. But especially now that we're getting older. And and then also there's the aspect of digital currency, which is harder to track. And so like a lot of people have like cryptocurrency and like lots of it. And they don't have a will stating these assets. They have nothing stating where these assets are, how you can access them. And so then you can't even pass that down because you didn't write a will. You weren't responsible with it. And then also the issue about like who will take care of your children, guardianship. Like if something were to happen, and then for cohabitators, because there's a lot of people in our generation they just like, I don't want to get married. Okay. Mm-hmm. Without a will, assets are divided amongst family members. So even if y'all have combined everything financially, y'all work as if though you're married, but now you got to sell your house that y'all bought together. Y'all both paid mortgage on. You got to sell your house because they have access. Their inheritance is half of that house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So without a will in place, it goes to these other people unless they are willing to be like, you know what? I didn't earn that house. She been living there. He been living there. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? But the odds of that happening. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So death and divorce, you start seeing the ugly side of people.
Exactly. So you have to like think about these things before. I know that was a huge concern for me before me and Michael were married, was just that like, I'm living here, I help pay the bills, help pay the mortgage, and it was like something could happen to you tomorrow, and then what? I'm gonna be out on the street because my name wasn't on the deed.
Live with your brother.
Yeah, I mean, you know what you know what I meant, but so that was just scary for me because I'm like, what's gonna happen? What would happen to me should something happen to you?
Yeah, and that's what this is. This is the transformative part. We've been adults, but I think we're becoming adults for real.
Yeah, yeah.
First
person we played pretend.
Yeah. At first we over the age of 18.
Yeah.
Now it's you've grown. You got to worry about tomorrow, and you got to worry about today, not just the moment. So it's
right.
There's definitely something that's happening in our transition phase.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So one of the facets was story of our lives and lessons we've learned. So what's one thing you hope people say about you when you go?
So I got big plans for the future, right? So I do want people to say that I'm a family man, love my family, that whole deal. That's probably number one. On top of that, I live a life of service, whether it's country, community, whatever it is. Then as I get older, I want to continue with that. So it'll be political service, that type of deal. So I do want that idea of, I don't want to say idea, but I do want that legacy of, hey, this person gave back with his life. He wasn't just a person who thought about himself. So, and I would love for my kids to be the same way, not doing the same things that I did. I don't think that's a good child. I don't want my child to be pushing a cop car or nothing like that. I want my child to, be a lawyer or something like that, but also in some kind of public service role as well, to where, they actually get that gratitude and that feeling of, okay, what I'm doing is bigger than myself. And also, I know what it means to actually put it on the line for other people as well. I think there's something humbling about it whenever you live your life in that way.
Yeah, I think that's great. I do think we have to be careful not to start to like write our children's lives in our heads, because then we get disappointed when they don't do mess around and be a DJ.
Yeah, there's certain things my child could do. I would be disappointed. I'm not shy about
like what if she became a DJ? What if like that's not
yeah,
a bad thing?
I'm disappointed. I don't care.
You said you'd be disappointed.
Yes, I have the right to be disappointed. I love her, but I still
People like,
better than
yeah. I think that's great. That's, you know what, music brings happiness to people, and it allows them to escape in a positive way. Like it's not like drugs and alcohol, it's music, you know, and I think that there's something to that, being able to express yourself with your body through dance. And so there's something good to that. I mean, just talking about that profession. And then like, you know, and when we're talking about the building of legacy, if it's something important for you, like that they give back, you know, it could be in other ways. Like, and if she grows up seeing you do that, giving back, in the different ways that you can give back, you know what I'm saying? That she might do it in another area. Like she might go and, you know, visit like the shelters and help out, or, you know what I'm saying? Like there's other ways that she can do that. And in that case, you know, I think you feel like you'll be okay.
Let me expand on that. No, I still would not be okay.
No. Okay.
All the charity she wants. I want my daughter to. I want her to be a higher earner than me. I don't want my daughter to make the same amount of money I make.
But they have celebrity DJs, Brian. Some of them be making millions of dollars. I'm not saying.
Yeah, if she's like DJ Envy level and she's on Breakfast Club or something, yeah, that's different. But when you said DJ, my mind went to she worked at, you know, Night Moves or something. And she spent like,
for some reason I actually know what that is. It's been a while. Yeah. Does anybody reference that?
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I get you.
I went to a local club or you know, she doing a wine and cheese party somewhere. Like, no, that's not gonna work. I need you to be. You need to push this. You need to push this name forward. You know, you need to
gotcha.
Forward. That's my
expectation. Okay. I mean, there's something to that. Okay. Let's see. Okay. What the way I wrote it was, what ripples do you want to leave on society? So like, because you know, like you do one thing and how that affects other things. But yeah. So based off of that understanding.
All right, so a ripple that I want to leave on society. So something I want to that I pray grows bigger. Maybe I should, in my legacy, can we limit it to legacy rather than society? Because I don't believe I can affect all of society. Society is so.
Well, no, but like that's why it's called a ripple. Like in that, so you can do something that then turns around. Like okay, so. Certain things affect, you know, it's gonna, so one thing that I want to start to do is mentor. So I know that's going to affect more than just the people directly around me, because you know, like mentoring one child, you know, then they're going to tell their friends certain things based off of what I've told them. It's going to impact the people that they interact with. You know, that's a ripple. So like basically, how are you going to invest into like future generations? Like that kind of thing.
Of my generations or just the world?
Huh? future generations.
Yeah, these future generations of mine or future generations of
the world, the society, out there. Yeah, not in your house. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of difficult for me too. I mean, I feel like I'm more of a laser focused type dude. So you know, the mentor thing, I mentor people who do my profession. Like when I was in the military, I was real big on like teaching the younger like private PFCs or whatever when they first come in. Okay, now you've been doing drill this whole time, like you've been learning how to march. I'm going to teach you how to teach somebody how to march. You know, it's a different aspect. I did a lot of like leadership training. Like, so if you want to be in this role, I'm going to teach you how to teach others to be into this role, I guess is what the goal and objective for a lot of that. And it was basically to build that institution, right, that already exists. Like, okay, this will make the Marine Corps look better. But this will make same thing I do in my current job. Okay, well, I train and evaluate the rookie cops, or whatever, right? So when they come in, you try to give them that same mindset of, community first and how you're supposed to address people and how far you can get with different things and stuff like that. So it's, I don't know if like what I'll do will affect the world, but the institutions, I believe, definitely affect the world.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think so. I think that's a good answer. I think we have to adjust sometimes the way we think about it, because I think we always think big. So we think about like affecting the world. We think of Martin Luther King. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. We think big like that. And it's like it doesn't have to be big like that to have a large impact, because you could affect somebody who affects somebody who has that big impact like that. You never know. Yeah. Okay, what characteristics, values do you want your children to emulate?
At different times, it's probably different answers. So right now, obedience.
Okay.
I want my kids to be healthy. I do believe in a healthy lifestyle. So, okay. I don't want my kids to be drinking, smoking, nothing like that. I do drink. I don't want my kids to do as I say, not. I want my kids to, just have that that mindset. Because I grew up eating unhealthy foods, and I still eat unhealthy foods from time to time, but I'm slowly transitioning to cleaner.
Actually, being real, I think we had more balance than a lot of people did. Like, I remember eating like lots of vegetables.
During high school.
Huh?
I ate ramen noodles probably like every day during high school.
Oh, I didn't. Well,
I grew a liking to them. Like I'll crave ramen noodles.
Yeah. Now, it wasn't like, like everything was healthy, but I definitely think that we had like balance. Like there was a little bit of everything. Whereas some people, like for real, like they live in food deserts, and you can see it by what's in their pantry. And that there's no like fresh fruits and vegetables, like none of that. Like, and I think that we definitely had, like, we had fruits, we had vegetables, and I think we had it was accessible to have a healthy diet. Now, whether she instituted, like, you better eat this, I don't think so.
And I think I'll be that type of parent. Like,
okay. Yeah. Well, I'm just more of a, you don't waste food. Children in Africa are starving, and so like if I put it on your plate, eat it. That's my thing. So I mean, and if I'm making a food, I'm going to probably there's going to be vegetables on the plate. So it'll be more about just eat all your food. Okay. So you said right now it's discipline, but what about obedience and all that? Okay, and and you said a healthy lifestyle. What about as an adult? Like, what is something you want her to take away as an adult?
As an adult, I want her to take away patience. Okay. I want her to take away really just I mean, it's gonna be double speak again, but I do want her to analyze. Like, I want her to analyze stuff she jumps into. I think some of the mistakes I don't want to say mistakes, but some of the risky things I did, I kind of did on impulse. So I would love for my child to that generational curse, I guess. So I wanted patience and pretty much just the ability to look before you leap.
Think of the consequences before the action, before doing the action. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good. Let's see. I mean, like, what would be some things that you would suggest that other people did just to start to build? If someone is just completely lost as far as where to start, as far as building a legacy, what would you suggest that they
Yeah.
do.
So, I mean, the first obvious place you're gonna look is your finances,
Mm-hmm.
because like we talk about, like crime is due to being poor, right? So there's all these negative things that come along with not
Mm-hmm.
having your finances in order. So you got to fix your finances first. So,
Mm-hmm.
like we said, the people that's spending all this money on coffee and dining out, you got to really start evaluating what money you're wasting, what money you're not. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't do the same, but I religiously invest. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, you got to make sure you invest in. If you got a 401k, it's ridiculous if you're not putting any kind of money into it. Just make it
Yeah.
come out of your.
Especially if your company matches, like
Yeah,
put in
yeah,
the maximum if they're matching.
yeah, for sure. As much as you can get into that. That's
Mm-hmm.
something I even helped one of my family, my mother, get onto as far as the investing thing. It was like, hey, if you got it, there's ways where you can make money.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah, she and I had a conversation about that. Just like, like you need to, because 'cause she's a hard worker, but it's just more like, okay, at a certain point, you need to, like you said, make your money, allow your money to make you money. You don't try and earn every dang penny. Like and
there's smarter ways now. So
yeah, and I do think that when we talk about impulse buying and all that, that is something that plagues her. And so just like I encourage her to just be like, well, when you feel like spending some money, go ahead and buy some stock. So she got herself a Vanguard account, and like now she goes and buys buys stock whenever she feel like spending money. And she'll be like, oh, do you want, like she'll call me and be like, you want this, you want that, like some shoes or something. I'm like, no, go ahead and keep your money and instead buy some stock. Go buy it today.
that's the beautiful thing about today's times. They've made investing even easier.
So easy. Yeah. Because I mean, at first I think a lot of people don't even know how do you even get into that?
Yeah, it took a while. I don't have a stockbroker or anything like that. You don't need a stockbroker anymore. There's different tutorials, videos, and stuff like that. You can watch, books, read. Then on top of that, apps on your phone for it. A lot of people in this country have a lot of excess money that they're not using properly. So, figure out ways where you can make that money, make money, and try to start you a business, whether it's, a lawn care business or it's, something even greater than that. Just try to find a way to actually make money for you, and then also you to win on your taxes. If you're losing on your taxes, you're doing something wrong. If everybody complaining, oh, we got this billionaire, he didn't pay anything for his taxes. Well, you should look at that as a lesson and say, okay, what is it that I need to do so I can
learn some of those exemptions, and
the way.
And keep track of everything, keep your receipts, make copies and all that. Yeah. So I'm learning. It's hard, but I'm learning.
It takes the research. It's something that we have to learn how to do, because a lot of us are, financially illiterate. So, we're educating ourselves in a lot of these arenas. So if you're trying to start your own legacy, you're gonna have to educate yourself. And this is you're being the breaker of chains in this, instance. So you got to do that so your kids and your generations after them
so
now
you can
they
teach them.
They can come to you and say, hey, how'd you do that? How'd you come? You can, hey, read this, figure that out. So
the reason why, there's privilege in just being born into a wealthy family, even if you're not given any money. Like even if you're not given it, because they can teach you how to make money, and also it also helps with like your ability to dream, because like it could be done because you've seen it done and firsthand. So it's those two pieces. And so if we can pass that on to our children, then absolutely that is breaking those generational curses in that area specifically. And then probably in some other areas. Like I do think that some things, like, some of the bad relationships that some of the women in our family stayed in, it was because of financial reasons. If I have no other options, then I'm just stuck. I'm stuck.
That's definitely true. Finances is probably one of the major reasons for divorce in this country. So it's one of those things that has to be taken serious, and a lot of people don't, which is kind of surprising. So like we know that it has a correlation to crime. We know it has a correlation to divorce. We know it has a correlation to stress and all this other stuff that kills you. right? But nobody really. I mean, I don't say nobody, but the we don't put the right amount of study into how to make that a more fluid situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's
I think
definitely
that's
something.
good. Yeah. So I mean, like, so just focusing on that, and then and I'm trying to get into a point where, like the each one teach one. So as I learn things, I'm making sure to tell at least 3 people the things that I learned. Share if this video was very insightful. Let me share that video, you know, and I encourage them to share it with 3 more people. Again, that we talk about that ripple effect. Yeah, that 3 is, it sounds small, but if everybody's sharing it with 3 more people, then we can really make some changes in our communities. And so, I mean, I'm doing what I can. I don't have a far reach, but the reach that I'm trying to be responsible with the reach that I have.
I like.
All right. So, I mean, that's all I have for you. I think this was a great conversation. And I think it will, if somebody hasn't thought about it, get some wheels turning. I even think for me, um, it's gotten some wheels turning. And I think sometimes you just need to talk about things just to kind of revitalize your motivation, you know? Um, so I think that this has even been helpful for me. So I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate your time. Thank you all for tuning in to Mental Digestion. Again, I'm your host, Precious. You can follow me on Instagram under it's poppin_precious. If you follow me, I follow back. And you want to share your show?
Yeah. So I got a podcast. It's called Perhaps I'm Wrong. It's on Anchor, Spotify, Castbox, Apple Podcast, wherever else you can get
Mm-hmm.
podcasts at.
Mm-hmm.
For the Bush Grid LLC. It's my business. So go on there and buy some camping gear and all that
Say
other
it
stuff.
again, Brian. Say the name of
It's called
the website.
it's a Bush Grid LLC. So you just
Bush
type that
Grid
in Google.
LLC. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the name of the show is Perhaps I'm Wrong. It's a podcast, and you can get it anywhere you get podcasts. Okay. Perhaps I'm Wrong. Y'all check it out next time. Bye bye.
Okay.